This podcast is presented in an MP3 format to preserve the integrity of Dustin Wong's creative vision.
And now, the March Madness Halftime Show, broadcasted by the Home and Garden Television Network.
Welcome back to HGTV's halftime coverage of the UConn versus Gonzaga game. I'm your host, Tarek Miller. And today, joining us in our conversation is host of the reality television series New House or Hole in the Ground, Harrison Grove.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here, Tarek.
Harrison, let me just start by saying how long it's been since we've last seen each other.
I know, right?
It's been too long. How are you?
I've been good. I've been doing really good. Just recently for the show, we visited this gorgeous 7-bedroom, 3-bath colonial. The basement and attic certainly needed some remodeling, but it was really the back porch patio that sold me on the project.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
It's very charming, much better than a hole in the ground.
I can only imagine. So, let's get back to the game. We just finished the first half, and let me start by saying that these college students all around are just in such great shape.
I'm honestly so impressed.
It's incredible how physically fit these student athletes are. People might not be able to recognize it, but you need a lot of stamina to be able to constantly run up and down the court like that, let alone still having enough energy to still throw the ball around. It's honestly been a marvel to watch.
I was getting tired just by watching. It looks so demanding.
Absolutely. So, I've been told that the Gonzagas are in the lead over the UConns 33-29. So, how do you think that could have happened?
Well, it seems like the UConns are just not scoring enough points, and if that would be the case, the team's main goal is gonna have to be making more basketballs into the hoop.
See, that's what has me thinking, Harrison, because if the goal of the game is to score as many points as possible, then I think there could be a mutual benefit in both ensembles were to collaborate in order to generate the most point you could in a basketball game.
You know, I never really thought of that approach before.
It's just something to think about.
It'd be very compelling.
I'd certainly hope so. And now to give us some courtside coverage is television personality from Gothic Cathedrals on a tight budget, Patrick Peters. So what's going down over at courtside, Patrick?
Well, at this point in the game, it's become pretty apparent that the food is just awful, and frankly, overpriced. Overall, there's really a lack of variety to choose from at the stadium concessions, and heaven forbid I find a bit of paprika to bring a little kick to a giant pretzel. My guess is that it falls under the supervision of the institution's culinary program, and if that were to be the case, there definitely needs to be a second look at the degree's faculty department. That's all I have here for courtside. Back to you, Tarek.
Very unfortunate, Patrick. Thank you. We were also able to obtain a locker room interview with UConn point guard Jarrett Beasley, featuring co-star of recently renovated from the recently deceased Michael Chadwick.
Thank you, Tarek. I'm standing here with college basketballist Jarrett Beasley after his first act performance. So, Jarrett, how are you?
I'm doing good, Michael. Got my team behind me, I got coach behind me. I got God behind me, and I'm feeling like we still got a good chance to take a dub in today's basketball game.
So, do you like basketball?
Oh, I love the game, man. I've always had a love for the game. I leave everything on the court, I leave everything on God, and at the end of the day, the best I can do is just give it my all, give my team the best chance to leave here with a win.
And, lastly, if you were to personally furnish a brand new 3-bedroom single-family home, which style of interior design would you decide to go with?
Of course, much of this would be circumstantial by the individual property, but I have to say I've always been a man with deep admiration for a classic artesian-styled interior. It's rugged and rich rustic features are equally inviting, but not as overtly affluent as other Baroque or Chippendale styles, but also still brings out the much-needed warmth to welcome anyone into one's abode.
Wow. That was very profound.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. Just here to support my team with my man God and help us win this basketball game.
Back to you, Tarek.
Wow, what a good head on that young man's shoulders. Bravo. Coming up, we'll be able to take you back to the second half of UConn versus Gonzaga, followed by the latest episode of Who Wants to Own Neverland Ranch, right here on HGTV.
Hey folks, welcome to the Last Minute. I'm Dustin Wong, a professional pants wearer. March came in like a lion and out like a lamb, so here's what happened. President Joe Biden has set his sights on a $3 trillion package for infrastructure, schools, and families. However, conservatives insist spending money on families is a waste when they can just grow it themselves. For his interference in the 2020 election, Biden says that Russian leader Vladimir Putin will pay a price this weekend in an HBO exclusive pay-per-view bare-fisted cage match. The FBI is facing allegations that his 2018 background check of Associate Justice Brett Kavanaugh was fake. But then what was on all those calendars? The U.S. Senate voted to confirm Attorney General nominee Merrick Garland. I'm surprised the vote wasn't protested more since we're almost 700 days away from an election year. Judge Garland vows to go after white supremacists during his tenure, which made half the Senate get real sweaty. A $15 minimum wage failed in the Senate after it was passed over by 6 Democrats, including Kyrsten Sinema, who gave a spunky thumbs down to the idea of helping the poor. What Democrats could agree on, however, was how much they hate Marjorie Taylor Greene, with 72 lawmakers signing a motion to expel Greene from Congress, and we've got the space lasers at the ready. Senator Mitch McConnell threatened to slow down Senate procedures if the Democrats abolish the filibuster. Let me make sure I got this straight. Mitch, you're threatening the general public that if we ban the filibuster, nothing would change? That's like threatening to break the ice cream machine at McDonald's. Empty threat, I'll take my chances. McConnell also revealed his frightening new scars and elaborated on a nefarious plot by the Jedi. Former Vice President Al Gore went on the record saying all Americans should be automatically registered to vote, to which the GOP replied, "Wait, everyone? Including women?" Senator Lindsey Graham in particular told Fox News, "If we don't do something about voting by mail, we're going to lose the ability to elect a Republican in this country. Right, how are they supposed to win if the people who don't want them to win get a vote? Come on, guys, it's not fair that we're stopping them from keeping things unfair." Graham went on to say he would talk until he fell over to stop the voting rights bill. Promise? The US and Europe are refusing to sell a vaccine patent to poorer countries, even with a compromise of decreasing vaccine production. Who would have thought that placing the key to ending a global pandemic in the hands of a few corporations would work out so terribly? UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson set forth a new law that would introduce criminal penalties for people who cause a serious annoyance. Finally, a way to end flash mobs once and for all. Speaking of annoying, the Florida Senate passed a bill requiring parental consent to get an abortion. So in Florida, you're not too young to start having kids, but for a trip to the doctor, you need a permission slip. Utah lawmakers looking to ban pornography on mobile devices, as long as 5 other states do so as well. Utah's like that one friend who can never make up their mind. Are you guys going to that thing later? I mean, I don't really want to go, but if you guys go, then I'm totally going to go. And if you're listening, you know exactly who you are. Also, history has proven that banning porn has never really worked. In the words of the great Jeff Goldblum, porn finds a way. In the state of New York, Governor Andrew Cuomo came under fire after being accused of sexual misconduct. When asked to comment on the allegations, Cuomo declined but offered to give the reporter a little kissy for her troubles. And finally, a New York state court dismissed Donald Trump's defamation suit against the New York Times. The judge would not accept Trump's lawyer's attempts to pull the evidence out of a hat. And that's it for the monologue. We'll be right back after this.
Hi everyone, it's me, Dustin Wong. After a year of quiet and solitary desolation, we're met with yet another spring season. And with it comes brighter days ahead. Things are getting a little easier. There's a little hope on the horizon. And so, from all of us here at the Last Minute, go for a fucking walk. Seriously, get off your ass, go outside, and take a fucking stroll. Smell a goddamn flower, why don't you? This is not a joke. Far from it, friend. In fact, I'm going to give you 30 seconds exactly to get your foot out the door. Feel the warm rays of sunshine, hear the birds in the trees, or there will be consequences.
What consequences? We'll just have to wait and see. And although I'm not sure if it's possible for me to consequence you, and I'm honestly not sure if that was the proper use of the word consequence, what I am sure of is that you are not outside yet. I can feel your anxieties. I can feel your seasonal affective disorder. I can feel them through your device. I can feel them with my hands. So please, for your own good, go for a fucking walk. Now, I'm not saying we'll hate you if you don't, but we'll know. Feel free to check out Daft Punk's new single, Get Lucky. It's the sound of the summer. And now, back to the show. Okay. I'm gonna get a little serious for a bit. Just bear with me here. So since our last episode, here are a few violent incidents that happened. A 75-year-old man was left brain dead after an assault during a robbery. A couple was attacked by a stranger wielding a rock and a sock. The woman was knocked unconscious and suffered a fractured nose and chipped teeth. The man was struck in the head, needing 8 stitches. At a basketball game, a man with his 2 sons was hit with a beer bottle. A stranger spit not once but 3 times on a young woman and her child. After pulling into his home, a man was punched several times in the face by a stranger who walked up to his car. An 83-year-old grandmother was spit on, punched in the face, and left unconscious in the street, covered in her own blood. All the victims were Asian, and most of them were not only physically, but verbally abused as well. Weeks after her husband's passing, a woman in a retirement community received a letter saying there was now one less Asian to put up with. The letter was postmarked the day of the funeral. Stores and churches have been vandalized with hate speech graffiti. They have been called the Chinese virus, Kung Flu, told to go back where they came from or go home. And bear in mind that some of them are not Chinese. And all of them consider this country their home. Look, if these stories seem like a lot, they are. If these stories make you angry, they should. And the ones I've listed are only the tip of a very dangerous and terrifying iceberg. Like this will sink the ship and separate Kate and Leo kind of iceberg. Now I have about 25 years of experience being Asian in this country, so take it from me. This month fucking sucked. Which brings us to our buried lead. The group Stop AAPI Hate revealed there have been almost 38,000 reports of anti-Asian incidents since last March. A study done by the Center for the Study of Hate and Extremism at California State University reported that hate crimes against Asian Americans surged 145% from 2019 to 2020. And you never want to hear a percentage that high. Unless, of course, you're referring to the amount of effort Phil Collins put into the Tarzan soundtrack. Phil, it was a cartoon about a dude raised by apes. You didn't have to go that hard. But as a man with 2 ears connected to a heart, it was appreciated. Last month, I brought up how this epidemic of hate wasn't receiving more widespread coverage, and I wonder what it was going to take for the average American to pay attention. Then Tuesday, March 16th happened. In Atlanta, Georgia, 21-year-old Robert Aaron Long walked into 3 massage parlors, then shot and killed 8 people, 6 of whom were Asian, all but 1 were women. Their names were Soon Chung Park, age 74, Hyung Jung Grant, 51, Sunja Kim, 69, Yong Yu, 63, Delania Ashley Yon, 33, Paul Andre Michels, 54, Zhao Zhaitan, 49, Dao Yu Feng, 44. My deepest sympathies to their family, friends, and all who knew them. When I heard about the shooting, I had to dig through several articles about the shooter before I learned who the victims were. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on him, because fuck him. I don't care where he came from or how goddamn religious he is. In one day, he bought a gun and used it to kill 8 people. 8 innocent people. And from here on out, I'm only going to be referring to him as the shooter. I said his name once, that's enough for me. But there were things I read about him worth discussing. So, law enforcement was hesitant to call this a hate crime because, according to the shooter, the attack was not racially motivated. Well, if he says so, then it must be true. I guess I should listen to Quentin Tarantino when he says his cinematography isn't feet motivated. After speaking with the shooter, Captain Jay Baker of the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office said this as part of his official statement to the press. Yesterday was a really bad day for him, and this is what he did. That's how you describe someone who downs 5 frozen margaritas and an entire Taco Bell nachos party pack, not someone who just killed 8 people. By the way, the nachos reference was just an example and not based on any actions I may or may not have taken during a rough day of quarantine. It's also important to mention that the shooter is white. Why? Well, because if he was a minority, I guarantee you he'd be labeled as a criminal and a terrorist. Instead, he's being treated as a victim. Of what? Well, it could be a variety of things. Usually a failed societal upbringing or a violent media. In this case, it's sex addiction. In his statement, Captain Baker went on to say the shooter saw spas as a temptation he wanted to eliminate. Cake is a temptation. But I don't go and shoot up the bakery. And if I were to do that, I wouldn't target only Asian bakeries. The shooter went to 3 separate massage parlors, yet they were all Asian owned. That doesn't stink of bias at all? After Baker's remarks caused some justified outrage, he was taken off of his role as the spokesperson for the spa shootings case. Sheriff Frank Reynolds addressed Baker's comments, saying Baker had a difficult task ahead of him, and that was one of the hardest days in his 28 years in law enforcement. So, what? They're saying Baker was having a bad day too? When a cop screws up, do they say he woke up on the wrong side of the bed? I'm so frustrated with all of this. I can't even enjoy the fact that one of the sheriffs has the same name as Danny DeVito's character in It's Always Sunny. I can't even have that. Reynolds continued by saying Baker had personal ties to the Asian community. I wonder if he was referring to the post on Jay Baker's Facebook promoting t-shirts that say COVID-19 virus imported from China. That's China spelled CHY-NA. China. I guess we'll never know now, since no one from the office chose to comment on that. Even outside of this tragedy, law enforcement officials are out here calling anti-Asian attacks bias-related or worse, random. Call them what they are. Say hate crime, you cowards. And what angers me even more than these crimes being seen as circumstantial is that there are people out there who think the victims deserved it. President Biden, who had previously come under fire for not appointing any members of the AAPI community for his cabinet, will appoint a permanent director for the reinstated White House Initiative on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. Prior to the Atlanta shooting, the White House had not taken any actions to reinvigorate the initiative, which currently has no direct staff at the Minority Business Development Agency. The White House has also announced plans to team with the Justice Department and the National Science Foundation to investigate and understand violence in relation to xenophobia. NBC's Meet the Press held a panel recently to discuss the rise in anti-Asian violence. The segment consisted of 5 panelists, and do you want to guess how many of those panelists were Asian? If you guessed 0, congratulations. You win the award for the most unexpectedly expected. Seriously, 4 out of 5 were white. Could they not find just one member of the Asian community to speak his or her thoughts? I guess we were all just busy that day? Imagine if they hosted a discussion on coronavirus, but invited no doctors, just a handful of guys who watched a lot of Grey's Anatomy, so, they get the gist. And you know who else gets the gist? Mike Huckabee. He tweeted, "I've decided to identify as Chinese. Coke will like me, Delta will agree with my values, and I'll probably get shoes from Nike and tickets to MLB games. Ain't America great? Well, Governor, I've decided to identify you as a piece of shit. And if you're Chinese, tell yourself to go back to China. Oh, and that motherfucker isn't the only government official to spew fighting words. During a candidate forum for a special election being held in Texas's 6th congressional district, Republican Sari Kim had this to say about Chinese immigrants. I don't want them here at all. They steal our intellectual property, they give us coronavirus, they don't hold themselves accountable, and quite frankly, I can say that because I'm Korean. Well, I certainly hope you hold yourself accountable, Miss Kim, because I don't want you in Congress at all. Kindly go fuck yourself. And quite frankly, I can say that because I'm Filipino, which, as you know, gives me the same code word clearance as you being Korean. I mean, what? Why is the hate coming from inside too? I played enough D&D campaigns that haven't ended well to know that when we're surrounded by enemies, the last thing we need is infighting. We need to recognize and be there for each other because who else will? Dao Yufeng, one of the victims of the Atlanta shooting, had no family in America, and the family she did have in China could not travel due to the pandemic. So the Atlanta Chinese American Alliance organized a funeral to honor her memory. Dr. Charles Lee, a founding member of the alliance, said almost 100 people, mostly strangers, came to pay their respects, some coming as far as Alabama and D.C. Now, I don't speak Tagalog, so I might be butchering this, but in Filipino culture, we have something called the bayanihan spirit. Bayan essentially means a community, and bayanihan means being a part of that community. It is the idea of helping one another and expecting nothing in return, especially in times of need. Now, I've had people ask me how they can help and what they can do to support our cause. So if you're able to, consider donating to the families of those killed in Atlanta, or to any other victims of violent attacks, or you can give to Stop AAPI Hate. I'll be putting the links to the GoFundMe pages in this episode's description. But if you cannot, I understand, I really do. Resources are tight for everyone right now, but you don't just have to give your money. You can give your time and your curiosity. But do more than the bare minimum. You saw Crazy Rich Asians? Congratulations. You tipped your hibachi chef? What do you want, a medal? You think Steven Yeun is hot? Who doesn't? Do more. Do more. Don't just check in with your Asian friends, talk to your Asian neighbors and your classmates. More importantly, check on your other friends and family. When someone you know makes a slur or says something hateful or does a stupid accent, speak up. Silence is just as harmful as laughing with them when they're laughing at us. Fucking Jay Leno finally apologized for making decades worth of Asian stereotype jokes, including saying that Koreans ate dog meat. And here I thought the worst thing he did was screw Conan out of The Tonight Show, which I still haven't forgiven him for, by the way. Leno went on to say, in my heart I knew it was wrong. Like that's supposed to make it better? I knew it was wrong. Might excuse you from illegally streaming WandaVision, but not from dehumanizing an entire people. Racism can no longer be normalized in any form. Future generations will be too busy fighting Skynet and Terminators. They shouldn't have to live in fear of bigotry too. And I know I already talked about this last month, but I can't stop talking about it. Since day one, Asians have been tossed aside and our oppression overlooked. Through immigration laws and internment camps, we have been punished for how we look, how we sound, and how we are. But we belong here, and we are no one's model minority. Bruce Lee used to say, walk on and leave behind all the things that would dam up the inlet or clog the outlet of experience. So let's keep walking. Onward. Always onward. Stay strong, stay angry, and never settle for the status quo because there have been no signs that these hate crimes are going to stop anytime soon. Even as I write this and I record this, I'm receiving news alerts about attacks. I can't keep up. If you witness a hate crime, report it. It's a cliche, but the only way for evil to prevail is for good people to do nothing. And heads up, May is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Unsurprisingly, not many people know that, including some Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. But I got a feeling that this May is going to be a big one. And also, I don't know who you are or if you're even listening, but who's ever in charge of these kind of things, bring back Kim's Convenience. Please and thank you. Okay, I'm done venting. Thanks for listening. We'll be right back after this. Hey everyone, it's me, Dustin again. So I know we just discussed some very heavy and emotional material. It's probably been on many of your minds, and it's going to take some time to fully accept and take it in, but did you go on that fucking walk yet? Because there's really no excuse why you wouldn't have gone on that fucking walk yet. You know, it's a podcast, you can pause at any time. Better yet, you can listen to this podcast while you're on that fucking walk. You know, just put it on your AirPods and take ownership of that fucking walk. And if you haven't gone that fucking walk, you know, maybe it's not the weather or time or anything. Maybe it's you. Maybe you're the reason you haven't accomplished your goals. Have you ever thought about that? It's not the world's fault you're not going anywhere. It's you. You're not taking the initiative to make that change and relying on others to do that for you. No one is going to just sweep in and take control of your life. That's on you. You have no one to blame but yourself. So please, do yourself a favor and go on a fucking walk. And while you're at it, take a listen to Get Lucky by Daft Punk. I bet you'd like it. You deserve it. And now, back to the show. So the US government can't decide whether to eliminate poverty or cats and hats, and things for Asians in America have been growing worse since, well, the day we got here. But in other news, St. Patrick's Day was this month. Did you forget? Yeah, me too. St. Patrick's Day, a holiday we only remember the day it happens, and are too hungover the day after to care. A 1,300-foot evergreen cargo ship found itself stuck sideways in Egypt's Suez Canal. Reports say that the ship became wedged due to a strong air current. Are you telling me that this century's Titanic iceberg is a gust of wind? Shh. If you listen carefully, you can hear James Cameron drooling. In the world of sports, the NCAA sparked its own controversy after being exposed for clear sexist treatment during the March Madness tournament, providing female athletes less workout equipment, lower quality food, and only allowing them to play half court. The publication Japan Today suggests that more than 75% of Japanese citizens don't want foreign fans at the Olympics. To which I say, can you blame them? Even Americans don't like American sports fans. In baseball, a Chicago Cubs prospect was arrested after police found 21 pounds of meth in his team equipment bag, which just goes to show that the most exciting aspect of America's pastime is still drugs. A scientific breakthrough this month when researchers in Singapore announced they are on track to develop a device to communicate directly with plants, stripping yet another moral victory from pretentious vegans. You gonna eat that talking spinach now, you bitch? Also this month, scientists say that the current air pollution will result in future challenges in reproduction and shrink human penises. Right. Pollution. So supposedly, Apple brand loyalty has reached an all-time high as Samsung loyalty hits an all-time low. But honestly, none of that really matters to me. All I need is a device that can text and call and secretly watch porn in public areas. Yeah, that's right, Utah. I watch it everywhere. Everywhere! Until a permanent replacement for the late Alex Trebek is found, Jeopardy will have a revolving door of temporary guest hosts, including Aaron Rodgers and Dr. Oz. I can only imagine what his show will be like. And your 6 categories are fake weight loss pills, toxic influential celebrities, autism and vaccines, what white moms like, potent potables, and other Oprah atrocities. Former First Lady Michelle Obama has been announced as the next inductee of the Women's Hall of Fame. Wait, there's a Women's Hall of Fame? Well, I'd like to submit a nominee. My mom. I'd say that'll give me some brownie points, but she doesn't know how podcasts work. American R&B singer The Weeknd's hit single Blinding Lights became the first song to spend a full year in the Billboard Top 10. Celebrating this accomplishment, the artist has now changed his name to 52 Weekends. Fellow artist Kanye West was declared by publication Bloomberg as the richest black man in American history. However, the claim was further disputed by business magazine Forbes, which may come to a relief because, frankly, no one man should have all that power. The world's first space hotel will be open to the public by the year 2027, but it still won't be enough space between you and your distant wife. The company Mar Wrigley plans to launch a grocery store robot programmed to follow customers around the store to tempt them with candy. Damn machines, taking all the good jobs from hardworking pedophiles. A small store in Minnesota received a complaint that a customer ordered a dozen masks from an online store and demanded a refund when they only received 12. The customer then proceeded to wear all 12 of those masks under their nose. After a year of the pandemic, Zoom was reported to have increased its profits by 4,000%, but in return paid zero income tax. That's why we at the last minute refused to use Zoom in protest in favor of Skype. I'm sorry. I can do it. That's why we refuse to use Zoom in favor of Skype. Skype. I can't say it with a straight face. I'm sorry. You guys remember Skype, right? You know, the platform with a 17-year head start that somehow became irrelevant when the whole world went online? Remember when Skype was the verb? You know, you would Skype someone? What, now you Zoom them? However, I still only share my dick exclusively through Omegle, which, contrary to popular pollution-based theories, is average. And lastly, with many Americans working from home, U.S. Census Bureau data suggests that the average American has saved 8.6 days worth of time this past year that would have been spent stuck in traffic. Meanwhile, anti-maskers wasted 8.6 days worth of time for frontline retail workers.
Earlier this month, Miami Beach declared a state of emergency from drawing massive crowds of spring break college students. Though this may not come to a surprise to anybody, some universities took precautionary measures and decided to cancel their break coming into the spring semester. Here to comment on the subject is a stereotypical college frat boy.
Had a girl, Dusty boy. Hey, up top? Now gimme top. Down low? Now get low. Dude, one of these? And on your knees. Dude, you must feel so gay right now.
I'm already beginning to regret this.
I'm just busting your Dustins, doughboy. Don't be such a virgin.
Don't be such a what?
Anyways, thanks for having me at the college radio station to rep the Pride and Joy Boys at our college chapter of Rho, Epsilon, Nu, Iota, Sigma.
Rho, Epsilon. Wait, doesn't that spell penis?
I'm your chapter vice president, Donovan Martin, a.k.a. the Goobs.
The Goobs.
Who else but the Goobs?
Okay. So, Goobs. I invited you on the show to hear your thoughts on university deciding to cancel spring break this semester to help curb the spread of coronavirus.
Oh my god, it's so weak, dude. First they're telling me I gotta start wearing a condom, and now I gotta wear a mask too? It's all just so bullshit.
Right, I can see that by the fact you walked in here without one.
Hey, don't need a mask with a mouthful of pussy, am I right?
You probably spread more than just COVID.
So me and the boys, Captain, Redhead, Bobby B, Chicken George, Shorts Johnson, Mike, Big Mike, Not Mike, Black Mike, Jorts, New OJ, Senior Six Pack, and Mike the Tank Belgian are gonna do something about it.
And what would that be?
We're totally gonna prank the dean and broadcast it live in front of the whole school. That way, we'll have to get our spring break back.
I'm sorry, I don't think I'm really following the logic here.
Alright, so we have like a couple of ideas.
Okay, what are they?
So like the first one, right?
we came up with this one where we sneak into the dean's office, right? And we attach the door to a rope with like a bag full of bricks. So when he opens the door, his face just gets clobbered by the bag of bricks like, smell you later, Principal Brickface.
That's just awful. And possibly borderline murder.
Wait, here's another one. So another idea we had is that we got my boy Keg Stan to make a copy of the dean's car keys, right? So we can go inside and wire up like a homemade plastic explosive to the car's engine so that when he goes in and starts his car, the whole thing gets torched. Boom! Next stop, Miami Beach, baby.
Okay, so that was actual murder. That you're gonna murder him is what you're telling me. Do you know what a prank is? Where does the term prank come into play here?
Okay, I get it. It's not PC enough for your college radio show.
Where do you think we are right now?
But I got one I think you'll really like.
I doubt it, but let's hear it.
Alright, so recently we were able to find the dean's home address.
Oh, God.
So me and the boys make a quick pity over at the
please
Home
stop.
Depot.
Please stop. Don't.
And me and the boys would show
I
up
don't
at
like
his
where
house
this- I
in
don't
the
like where this is
middle
going. I
of
don't
the
like where this is
night.
going. Stop talking.
And then
shut up.
we
I don't want to be
repaint
liable
the
to this.
whole house overnight in our homecoming opponent's jersey colors.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not too bad.
And then when he comes out to see it, we decapitate his head with an axe.
God! Oh my, what the fuck, Goobs?
Just can't hang with us, bro. Woo! College class of 86.
That is the worst. Wait, 86? As in 1986? Like 35 years ago? How old are you, Goobs? How old are these girls you've been talking about?
You know what they say, man. When their age is on the clock.
Then what, Goobs?
Come on, you know.
You mean 13? 13 years old, Goobs?
I don't know, the age, grade, whatever's the right one. I'm so plastered right now, Dolan.
It's Dustin. Yeah, I think our time here is over for the day.
All right, bro. Just do me a favor and point to me which way the door is.
The same way it came in.
All right. Don't be such a narc. Goobs out.
Oh, so that explains a lot about why I never excelled in the college life. Why do I smell poop? Hey, why is the grass on fire?
Rho, Epsilon, Nu, Iota, Sigma!
Oh my god. All right, I gotta make some phone calls. We'll be right back after this.
This episode is brought to you by Pajama Sets, when you want to look your best for absolutely no one. Also brought to you by USB cords, where 50% of the time, you'll insert it wrong every time. And Derm Store. Want to look for alternatives to
we're talking
ordering
about
from
Derm Store
Amazon?
now? Oh, we're talking about Derm Store?
I mean, I was talking
no,
about
great,
Derm
great,
Store.
great. Like, I'll take it from
This
here.
is,
No,
it's
please,
kinda-
I'll take it from
says
here.
my name, by the
Ryan,
way.
shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Let me take it from here. All right.
Jesus.
And
All right.
Derm Store. Want to look for alternatives to ordering from Amazon? Good for you. But are you looking to order and pay extra for early shipping, only to get it late and then get the delivery with none of the items that you ordered, and then you learn that they have a fake phone directory and they won't respond to your emails until 7 days later? Order from Derm Store. Oh yeah, it's personal. Thank you, Ryan. Back to you.
Thanks, Ricky. You wanna take a walk with me real quick? Just a little walk?
Yeah, okay.
All right, yeah. That is the most unprofessional bullshit I've ever heard in my fucking life.
Ryan.
You don't pay me $4 an hour to be here, to step on my lines, overwrite my bits, and fucking ruin
Dude, I didn't
my
think it was gonna be like that big of a
If you
deal.
ever do that again, I'm going to bend you over my knee, pull down your 9-foot tall pants, and spank the shit out of you, okay?
What?
I will fuck your dad and ruin your parents' marriage. I'll do it.
What?
No, don't cry. Don't cry. Don't cry, man. You know that gets to me. You know I love you, right? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're cool, man.
Okay.
All right. Love you. Hey, you hear that new song, Get Lucky, by Daft Punk? Pretty fucking cool.
All right, folks, I'm out of here. But remember, you can only skydive without a parachute once. Have a great day and a better tomorrow.
The Last Minute with Dustin Wong. Hosted by me, Dustin Wong. A 20-something Studios production. Featuring Tim Diebold, Azaria Mastrangelo, Ryan Phelps, Mikey Ruby, Elliot Skidmore, and Ricky Hamilton. Written by Dustin Wong, Hunter Bustamante, Liam Foley, Steve Calpin, and Ricky Hamilton. Contact the show at thelastminute.dw@gmail.com.